I'm really excited to be with you today. I've been asked to help you understand the two differences between leadership and then change management. By the time we're done, I'm hoping that you connect the two as I have in my career and understood that they all come together in terms of making it work. So I worked with the Target organization, formerly known as Dayton-Hudson, up until 1992. And during that time I had multiple roles that shaped my leadership skills. But most importantly, I had some great leaders that pushed me into areas where I was constantly challenged. Part of that journey was to always keep that tension in terms of my career. I worked on 2 acquisitions while I was with Dayton-Hudson, with Hudson's and then with Fields in '90. And being part of that catalyst group, if you would, caused me to think differently about the second piece of our conversation, that's on change leadership. So through that, I had some personal learnings throughout that journey that I wanted to bring out today, and that is 1, always know what your capabilities are. Be honest to yourself on those capabilities, but then humble to others. Because when it comes down to being that leader, you need to look in the mirror and say, I'm here to do this, the company expects me to do this. But at the same time, you're going to have people that you have to work with. If you're not bringing them along, you're not leading. Rule number 1. Rule number 2 was always complain up, never down. At the end of the day, when you do leadership, it's always about getting it done with others, but it's not fair to bring your garbage, your noise to their lives, because they have to do all the work on top of working with you. So managing up, complaining up. It's always about you as a leader, making sure that you are leading. And this is the difference between management, because in management it's that daily task, managing daily things. Leadership is always about that destination. Knowing your people, and then knowing how you need to serve them differently in terms of the communication and in terms of what they need in terms of growing to be part of what you're working on in your leadership element. Because the one element that I really found attractive was working with the different organizations and finding those arguments of how they could connect and really gain synergies or ways of working, again, that would help the organization come together. But more importantly, sitting back as a customer and say, how does that customer get impacted? What's so unique about 2 organizations coming together from a customer view? I took that as a personal journey in terms of leadership, and then went and obtained a master's degree in HR from the University of Minnesota. I was looking for ways of thinking that were unique and different from what I was getting from my work. And what I learned was a different program level in terms of how to approach my work. I found that with my collection of colleagues within the program that they had different interests and ideas and really experiences that I could take from. But then I brought that back to my work. I continued in that path and then left in 1992 and joined consulting. Quickly what I learned was I needed a different toolkit. But what I had learned through all of my work was the leadership and then now the change piece from a doing it perspective. Didn't have the true methodology yet. So when I went into consulting and worked for Anderson Consulting, I quickly grabbed onto new skills and tools, which were methodology in terms of what they did. Taking the 2 together helped me think differently about how I can go work with my customers and drive different value. Having that complete toolkit for me was a matter of having the tools, but then having conversations. Again, if you've been a leader in the past, you understand what change is, and then you start thinking of a roadmap. Those were kind of the ways that I really looked at my career personally, but more importantly, how do you stage the bodies of work so that people can attach themselves to when does it start, what's happening in the middle, and then how do you end? I do a lot of traveling today, so my quick analogy now is you get the plane ready to take off, that's your initiation space. That's when you're really clearly identifying for all of your stakeholders, all the people within your organization, where you're going to go. You take off, you're up in the air for a long time. Those are your phased elements of where you have to think differently about all of your stakeholders, all the people that need to be communicated to so that they stay with you throughout that flight. That flight represents your journey. So when it comes down to what does this really mean? One organization or one institution that's been managing change the best for the whole legacy of U.S. history is politics. You see how they start with their communication, and you see the evidence of does it stick or does it work based on who gets voted in. Question is, does it work after they get voted in is not the question. It is about the journey that they take from the day they announce to the day of election. They've managed their constituencies, their stakeholders, they've taken evidence from what's working, what's not. I would ask that you think differently about your organization and look outside and learn from some of the work that they've done, because much of which has worked for so many years, you can steal some of those good ideas. So as we close, we've talked about change leadership, we've talked about change management, we've talked about the journey, talked about the personal. The last piece that I want to leave with on the personal journey is never be satisfied. Your best story is only yesterday's news. Keep learning, keep honing your skills, keep advancing your knowledge, and at the end of what you're looking for, your destination is going to be that of a continued learner. Because as you work in this space, it is always changing, and the principal piece of leadership, it's always about you changing. Your ability to adapt, to overcome, is the principle of how leaders succeed or how they need to shape their destination. I thank you for your time today, and I really look forward to your continued journey, and take a look at project and change management as a way for you to open up new doors to your career. Thank you.